Hello, Rob.
Hi, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back indeed. How are you?
I'm good. I'm probably more rested than you are.
Yeah, I've had more sleep. That's not fair, actually. I've slept well over the last 2 nights. It's been, I'm starting to get some semblance of normality and brain power back. It's not there, not quite there yet. So this could be quite an interesting show, I think. You may, as always, you may just have to ask me questions and see what happens.
Yeah. So you've been off on adventures again, haven't you? Where have you been this time?
I think I've done probably the most ridiculous travel thing so far for this business, based on the distance and how long I was there for. Went to Taipei for Computex, which, if people haven't heard of it, it's basically a version of CES over there over in Asia, and we'll come on to what it's like in a moment. But yeah, I went there with Snapdragon, so it was a Snapdragon Insider thing that I was invited to, which was very nice of them.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
So Qualcomm, technically, then.
Qualcomm, technically. Do you know what Qualcomm stands for?
No, I don't actually.
I didn't until this week. It's Quality Communications.
I should have guessed that, really.
It's quite obvious when you think about it, isn't it? Although it does make it easier to say, because I've always struggled with how to say Qualcomm, but now when you know it's Quality Communications, Qualcomm is a bit easier to get out your mouth.
Yeah, no, I'd never taken the time to think about it. Just accepted that it was Qualcomm, and that was it.
There you go. The value we deliver on this podcast is unreal, isn't it? But yeah, they flew me out and put me up in a very nice hotel. It was, I think the travel, I mean, it wasn't their fault at all. It was entirely my fault, but the travel was exacerbated by what I was doing on Saturday night, which basically, to cut a long story short, I should have flown out on Saturday, but I couldn't, or I didn't want to, because it was my sister's 40th birthday, which is quite a big deal. Obviously, it's been, my sister being my sister, built it up out of all proportion for about 3 years, and stupidly I'd agreed to do a DJ set, so I'd agreed to be Pete Tong for the evening, and then spent weeks and weeks planning this set out and practicing all this sort of stuff, and then get this email from Snapdragon saying, fancy coming to Taipei? I think, oh yes, please. And the date was the 1st of June, which is obviously the date of my sister's birthday party. So lots of panic ensued, and for about 2 weeks, I still can't really believe I did this. She owes me so much, but without her knowledge, I spent 2 weeks trying to rearrange the flight from the Saturday to the Sunday, and Qualcomm were very, very accommodating. They're not listening to this, I'm sure, but if they are, thank you again. And they moved it to Sunday, which meant I basically attended this birthday party and then got about 2 hours of sleep, and then drove down to my house, because my sister lives in Shropshire, which is about an hour and 20 minutes away from where I live. So drove back to my house, and then got an Uber from my house to Heathrow. Got to Heathrow at 9 a.m. that Sunday morning, and then flew midday to Taipei. Well, flew to Hong Kong, and then Hong Kong to Taipei, and got there for 11 o'clock-ish. And the first thing that I was supposed to be there to do, which was attend the Snapdragon keynote, started at 1 o'clock. So I had 2 hours to get from the airport, through security, all that stuff, get into another Uber, get to the venue, and be there basically. And thankfully, it all worked out. It worked perfectly. But I was so tired, because I don't know about you, but I just can't sleep properly on flights. I'm not one of these people who can just throw my head back and get a few hours in. I sleep probably max half an hour, if that, really. So I was dead on my feet.
So what tech did you take to keep yourself amused and or productive during this mammoth journey?
Not very much. Unlike me, I took one device, apart from my phone. I mean, I took the S24 Ultra, obviously, but I took the 11-inch iPad Pro, which was very surprising for me, bearing in mind that I've always said I don't understand why that device exists. But yeah, I just took that with the Magic, the new Magic keyboard and the Apple Pencil Pro. Didn't use the Apple Pencil Pro at all, obviously, but the other two things, yeah, that was literally all I had to keep me entertained and get some work done, and I loved it to the point where I've sent back. I don't know if we're going to come on to this later, but I have sent back my 13-inch M4 iPad Pro, and I'm going to buy myself a small one because the small one was sent to me by Apple, which has gone back now.
Yeah, so it was on the list to talk about, but now we're there. Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
So you, having tried the smaller one, you've decided that's the size for you.
I have, yeah. You're going to ask me why now, aren't you? Why have I suddenly changed my mind? I don't really know. I think what happened was that I bought the 13-inch one, and then Apple got in touch out of the blue and said, "Do you fancy reviewing any? Do you fancy a review unit of any of these new iPads?" I thought, well, I might as well get the 11-inch in just to have there for B-roll and just to compare. And as soon as it arrived and I got it out of the box, in fact, it wasn't that moment. It was when I got the smaller Magic keyboard out of the box and then put the two together, and then suddenly something literally clicked. It was like, hang on a minute, this is... I've talked loads about the iPad Mini and wanting another version of this with an official Magic keyboard for it. But this, I think because I've been so used to that big iPad Pro, going from that to the 11-inch version, which is markedly smaller than the big one, it almost felt weirdly like an iPad Mini Pro, if that makes any kind of sense. It's just so much smaller, compact, brilliant keyboard. That Magic keyboard, the new Magic keyboard, is fantastic. I know we talked about this last time, but it's absolutely fantastic. I know you've got similar thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the size of it. It just makes sense. It was so easy to carry around and travel with. So straightforward.
How do you find the smaller keys? 'Cause that's what I think I don't think I would get on with. So some of the keys are like half width, aren't they? For example, and when obviously the whole thing is just shrunken because it's got to fit in a smaller footprint, smaller trackpad. Yeah, I don't. I guess it depends on your use case. I mean, you're obviously out and about, you're gallivanting all around the world, so I guess a smaller, more portable size for tray tables and things makes more sense. Whereas mine's predominantly desk or coffee shop table based.
I didn't notice it, to be honest. I didn't notice any difference. I know some people have said that is it the Shift key or the Enter? One of them is particularly smaller than I think it's the left Shift key, isn't it? It's smaller than the big one, the big iPad Pro. I didn't notice it though at all. I think that the typing experience was just, it felt identical really. Didn't bother me. The trackpad is a bit smaller, but again, didn't really bother me. Yeah, I didn't feel it was much of a compromise. The only thing I suppose I am slightly concerned about is that display size, and if I get back into trying out Logic Pro and maybe Final Cut Pro as well, that's a bit of a concern. Possibly it might be a little bit small for that, but again, I think that bearing in mind, like you say, the use case for me is traveling around with it, and I mean, an iPad Pro is overkill for what I'm doing with it, but I want the M4 chip still, so I think I need that so I can test out the iPad OS 18 and any AI stuff that comes our way. But I think that just the compromises for me are relatively insignificant. I think I can't believe it. I said for ages, didn't I? I didn't get why that thing existed. I know that we've got people on the Discord server and equally people on YouTube, because I ran it wasn't a poll, but I asked the question on YouTube on a YouTube post a couple of weeks back. I said, should I stick with the 13 or should I get the 11-inch? And most people said get the 11-inch, which I thought was interesting. It's got quite a big fan base. Yeah.
I mean, it used to be that if you wanted the best of everything, you had to get the big one, and now you don't. And that's quite a smart move on Apple's part. I mean, I'm still very happy with my big one because it's more or less the size of an A4 sheet of paper, and given that my primary use case for it at the moment is sheet music, it's perfect for that. I think I would struggle with it being smaller. Although I did try to, the new Assassin's Creed game that just came out yesterday. I think it's on offer for £22.99 as a launch price. I installed it. It insists on you having a Ubisoft Connect account, which I don't have and I don't want. But I was like, okay, fine, I want to try it. So I went to sign up for it, and it's got various options. Sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, etc., all the usual sort of login options. And I've tried several times to set up a Ubisoft Connect account via sign in with Apple. Didn't work. So I can't tell you if it's any good, but it should be quite fun on the M4 iPad Pro.
It should be. It's got all the power, hasn't it? It's got the capabilities for it.
So I take it you have not stretched the legs of the M4 yet.
No, I'm waiting for iPadOS 18, Rob. I'm waiting for next week and to see what happens. I probably won't go into the beta side of things, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do later this year, really. I'm glad you're happy with your big one still, though.
Well, I'm as happy as one can be with a extremely expensive tablet that I didn't need. But no, it's an incredible thing. And actually, having spent more time with it, I think the thing that I said I liked the most about it was the thinness. And I think now the display is actually up there. I mean, in isolation, it kind of doesn't really look any better than previous years. And so you go back, even the 2018 iPad Pro had a fantastic display. But yeah, if you crank up some, 4K HDR content on it, it is quite spectacular. It is noticeably the best display I have in the house.
Which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
an iPad's got the best display.
The most overkill computing device I own.
I do love it for that.
I still haven't found a proper use for, but I will. I'll figure it out at some point.
We all will, one day.
So yeah, so you went off to Computex. What headphones did you take?
I took the Beats Studio Pro.
It's a curious choice, given all of the options available to you. Why did you do that?
I know why. The reason I took them, I've just worked it out, because I was having this thought yesterday, because I didn't use them.
All right.
I genuinely didn't use them. I think I used my the Sennheiser, the in-ear things, just for podcast listening and stuff. But I suddenly yesterday thought I took those headphones with me and didn't use them. I didn't use them on the flight because I couldn't, because the airlines I was flying with had that stupid little connector that you can't, it doesn't work with regular headphones unless you've got that one yourself, which I didn't have with me. So I didn't use them on the flight, which was one of the reasons I guess might have been. The main reason they were still with me is because I was using them for DJing duties on Saturday night. So they were my monitoring headphones. Just because of the size of that case, just chucking them very easily into bags and stuff. But that was the reason. What I should have done was take the Sonos Ace with me. That would have made much more sense.
Yeah, you could have got some content out of that.
I could have done, but I didn't. Kind of a fool. I think in my defence, I was trying to keep the weight down, keep the stuff as limited as possible.
Yeah. So you're out there at Computex. What did you see?
Not a huge amount of Computex, because it was the busiest trade show I think I've been to in my entire life. I've been to a lot of trade shows, and this was just absolutely nuts. And to put some context around this, we were there. So I was there for Monday, which was when the keynote was. But that wasn't when the show opened. The show opened on the Tuesday. So I flew back on the Wednesday morning, basically. I was there for 2 days maximum. So I was only at the show for half a day on the Tuesday, because the Tuesday morning we had some private kind of demos and stuff of Snapdragon stuff. So I had about 2 or 3 hours there, and we had a couple of booth tours with Acer, Asus, and who else? That was it, I think. And saw some ROG stuff as well. But it was so busy. It was just ridiculous. Much busier than CES. Much busier. And that was the first day. Apparently it got worse after that, because I think the public were allowed in on the Wednesday onwards. And I know someone who stayed for a couple of days, and they said it was just bonkers, even more bonkers. He couldn't move, basically. So we got to see a lot of the stuff that we'd seen already, a lot of the AI stuff that this Snapdragon X Elite chip is capable of. But we'd seen that previously anyway, so I didn't see much of Computex, to be honest, ironically.
Did you see any other YouTube pals?
Who was there? I walked past. I'll tell you, I saw Gadgets Boy. I don't know if people are aware of him, but I think we've spoken about him previously. Tommy, he's at every single event, so it's inevitably you bump into him. That was nice to see him. Tech Chap walked past me at one point. I only saw him very briefly. Who else did I see? That was it mainly. Most of the other people that I was with in my group were from different countries. They were analysts and they did other things basically, and consultants and stuff. So, yeah, I didn't get to see any of the regulars because everyone's all over the place at the minute. There's various other things going on, different events and things, and people seem to be flying about all over the place. It's a very busy time.
Did you come back with any new toys?
I didn't. No, nothing to say that I can't tell you about or anything really. I have got this. I nearly took this out with me actually. I've got the Huawei MateBook 14, which is very nice actually. Be a video about this very soon. It's got a lovely OLED display, which, given that this is it's a grand basically, there's only one spec to choose from, which is the Intel Core Ultra 7, I think, and 16 gig of RAM and 1 terabyte. So they've picked this kind of everyman spec basically, and this very nice green colour. I don't know if you can see that. But given it's about a grand, and you get I think one of the best displays I've seen at that price point, certainly beats the MacBook Air into a cocked hat. I think that's pretty good, but it does run Windows, so I won't be switching to it.
Is there a market for that still? Because obviously it's all about your Snapdragon X now, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yeah, I mean Intel. I don't know. Is it bad news? It's not curtains for Intel, but it's bad news. I think from what I've seen of this X Elite chip, it's really impressive. It's going to give the M3 a run for its money. Apparently, in benchmarks, it literally does give the M3 a run for its money. Although the details on that are a little bit sketchy at the moment in terms of how they tested it and which M3 chip it was and all that sort of stuff. But the benchmarks that Snapdragon have released are considerably better than what the M3 is capable of. It's a very interesting time, I think.
They've definitely caught up. That Huawei laptop, do they still put the little pop-up webcam in the function key? Do you remember like a few years back?
Yeah.
That wacky pop-up webcam?
Afraid not.
Is that a thing in the past?
It's just built into there.
That's sad. That was cool.
Yeah. Those times have gone, haven't they? Mechanical things that pop up, and so it's a shame. Real shame.
Well, the subject of mechanical things... You've bought another stupid car, haven't you?
Really stupid car this time. I have, yeah. Because was it 2 weeks ago we last did this? And I briefly mentioned, didn't I, that I was going to buy a new car, and did. I asked you to guess, didn't I?
Yeah. So I was thinking sort of X5, Audi Q7, and I was in the right area, I think.
Yeah, and if I had any sense, then I would have bought one of those instead because they're probably be a bit more reliable. Yeah, you weren't. I think you were the closest, to be honest. So yeah, I bought a Range Rover Sport, and before anyone calls me a millionaire, I'm not. This is a 2018 version, so it's 5 years old. It's got 34,000 miles on the clock. Very nice example of it, but yeah, I went for it basically, and. For two reasons. Well, I think, again, when I gave you those clues last time, I said that I needed something that was a bit more practical, because the M2, as much as I love that car, sat on the drive for most of its life, and I just washed it and worried about it, etc. So something where I could just chuck, my son in the back, and all three of us can go out on a road trip and stuff. That was important. But then I didn't want to lose the petrol-heady thing. And equally, I wanted a few more toys because the M2 was a little bit lackluster in terms of tech and didn't have CarPlay or Android Auto, and it was relatively basic in that respect. So I wanted those three things: petrol headness, practicality, and lots of toys. And after a ridiculous amount of research, I didn't just buy this on a whim. I know it sounds a bit like it, but I did. I spent. Jen didn't talk to me, or didn't get to talk to me for about 2 or 3 days because I was head buried in my iPad. But yeah, after quite a bit of research, I decided to go for the Range Rover Sport. One, because it's the one that I've got is the P400 HST, so it's the kind of straight six. It's very similar engine in terms of configuration to the M2. Petrol, obviously. Didn't get the E version. There's an E version which is like a plug-in hybrid. I didn't go for that, just based on a few things I found while I was researching. Yeah, I just went for it. And they haven't got the best reputation, have they, Land Rovers? Let's be honest.
Well, they come near the bottom of pretty much every reliability survey there is. So you've got like which they're pretty much at the bottom for reliability. You've got the reliability index from Warranty Direct, the third-party aftermarket warranty company. Every year they publish a list of the cars which have had the fewest warranty claims versus the ones that have had the most. And Land Rover are pretty bad. Range Rover.
I think even their CEO said something, didn't he, recently, where he said we need to get better. But
that's not the only issue, though, isn't it? So the reliability is one thing.
Yep.
There's the keyless entry lack of security, although that's been patched. So you bought it from a dealer. Has it had the software update?
It's got the latest software. Whether it's got that fix in it, I don't know, but it has. It's running. It's definitely running. Excuse me, running the latest software. So in theory, So you've got reliability and theftability. That's the two things. And then the third, because of the theftability, the inability to insure these things, to the point where Land Rover recently had to come out with their own insurance policy, didn't they, or their own insurance option, which I think I watched Matt Watson from CarWow do a have you seen that, when he tries to get insured on a Range Rover, a brand new Range Rover, can't do it on any of the regular insurers, so he tries the Land Rover one, and that doesn't work either.
All right,
he's like, brilliant, now what? I just can't have this car. So first, I did get insured on it. I am driving with insurance. I don't live in London, which I think makes a big difference. I don't live in any particularly big city, which I gather makes a bit of a difference. And the insurance wasn't that much more than the M2. Whether or not that will be the case when it comes to renewal, who knows? But I'll cross that bridge and sell the house when I get to it, or sell the child or whatever to pay for it. But I won't do that. So lots of problems. But it's got a fridge.
It was worth it then.
It was worth it. It's got a fridge in the armrest.
And you've kicked off a whole new brand around it because it's such a divisive vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm like. I'll shoehorn anything into my business, and I think what I've learned over the last 3 or probably the last 2 years since I did the Porsche Taycan thing is that it's very hard to shoehorn certain types of cars and reviews and stuff about cars into a tech channel. You can do it to a degree, and things like Tesla, we've got a Tesla video coming up fairly soon. That works quite well with tech, but I think we need to stray beyond that. It's a bit of a push. You're trying to. Not everyone cares about cars. I mean, we've probably lost half the audience already now. Me talking about Range Rover Sport on here, but regardless of that, I love cars, and I want to make content about them and talk about them. And equally, I know there's a very big audience out there for that. But it's an audience that sits on its own. So you've got to target that audience. And that's what we're doing. So this is my car. I bought it myself, and I've bought it because I want to enjoy it, and etc. But equally, there was another part of me thinking, this is potentially a very good content asset. If you think about an iPhone, for instance, that's a brilliant content asset because 50% of people love it and 50% of people hate it. That's the exact same thing with a car like the Range Rover Sport. It was a bit of a punt thinking that, but boy, was I right. So I've started this little content brand called Ellis Motors, which I know sounds like a dodgy backstreet dealership, but who cares? It kind of works. And this thing is purely about cars. So it's on Instagram and TikTok. We'll put a link in the show notes for any petrol heads who want to check it out. But I needed like an anchor, as I'd call it, something to like an ongoing theme for that content brand. And I thought, well, if this Range Rover Sport is so polarizing, because during all the research, it was literally 50-50. 50% of fanboys and fangirls saying, oh, they're the best cars ever. I've had 10 of them. I've had no problems with them. And then the rest of people saying they're the worst cars ever. The JD Power survey says you should never buy them, etc., etc. So I look at that and think, brilliant. That's going to create such a stir. And immediately on TikTok in particular, but also Instagram, I think we picked up something like across both nearly 1,000 followers in a couple of weeks, which is significant. And all the videos are getting good views. I think one of them, which is me just walking around the car saying, I've bought this, I've swapped my M2 for it. That's had 80,000 views now on TikTok. It's just immediately kicked off, and the commentary is brilliant. It's worth just following that account just to look at the comments because they're hilarious. But the idea with this obviously is to extend it to different car reviews and bring more car content in, and siphon that off from the tech reviews channel basically. But yeah, what a great car to do it with. It's brilliant.
So
and it's got so much tech. It's got so. I've never had a car with so many toys and things, and you get a lot. And I know, it's whatever it would have cost brand new. Whoever spec'd it up really went for it. It would have been a very very expensive car to begin with. I know that means that you tend to get the same. A 100 grand car is going to have 100 grand esque bills, isn't it, in terms of how much it is to service and maintain, etc. But I don't care, because it's got a fridge in the armrest and it's got everything you can think of that you'd ever need on a car.
Sound system,
which is the best sound system I've ever heard in a car, like hands down. I had the Bowers and Wilkins one in the i5 M60 that I had for a week. That was pretty good, but it's nothing like this Meridian thing, which is just. It's got surround sound, because obviously you need that. It's got screens on the back of the seats. Amazing.
So, what made you go for an older, full-fat Range Rover versus a newer Evoque?
I don't like the Evoques.
Is that because it's just the Boxster of the Range Rover line?
A little bit, yeah. Although you could say I've... yeah, well, you could say I've got the HST. With the HST, I've got the kind of the same thing with that, because you probably, if you want to go all out, you go for the SVR, wouldn't you? But then probably never get that insured, and it probably does about 15 miles to the gallon, and so I've kind of picked what I think is the sweet spot in the middle. And this one, the P400, does have the best, relatively speaking, kind of reputation in terms of reliability if it's been serviced. So
the least worst reputation.
The least worst, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to stop talking about cars. We're not.
Yeah, loads of way too much car stuff.
So I'm trying to think what else I wanted to ask you about. So yeah, in terms of recovering from your jaunt to the other side of the world, how's the 8 Sleep helped? And the reason I'm asking is because there's a new one out, isn't there? There's the 8 Sleep Mark IV, which is quieter and has got a wider range of temperatures. It can go cooler, it can go hotter, does it all silently, etc., etc. But yeah, how have you been getting on with that? Your no, not the 4. You've got the 3, haven't you? Currently, for now.
3, yeah, the 3. Has it? I don't know if it's helped or not. I mean, I've slept really well the last 2 nights, so whether or not that's 8 Sleep or it's me just being exhausted, I don't know. It's probably a mixture of both. I don't know. It's very hard to work out if it's helping or not, if I'm totally honest. But I love the cooling and the heating of it. I think that's still the key thing, really.
When did you get it? Have you had it over a summer yet?
Yeah. Have I had it over a summer? That's a very good question.
Got it sort of after. I think you got it autumn last
tail
year.
End. Yeah, I think it was the tail end of the summer. So I suppose actually this next couple of months hopefully are going to be the big test for it, aren't they?
All right. Yeah, I'll check in with you, because I've had that I've had my eye on that for a while.
I know. I think you're going to get one. And if you get one, you need to get that thing. There's a new thing, isn't there, where you like a thing that you put under the mattress, which can be raised up, so you can have that. And it does it automatically. If it detects that you're snoring, it raises up your head, so the top of the bed slightly to stop the snoring.
I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of I'd feel like I was in hospital.
That's true.
I don't know if I want that. And I'm not sure if that's even available here. I think that I'm not sure you can buy that here.
Possibly not.
Or if you can, I think it might only be available in like Super King size. I don't have a Super King size bed, and it's absurdly expensive. It's already expensive enough, so I think I'd be quite happy with just the mattress top. But yeah, we'll see how you get on with it over the summer.
Yeah, I'll report
back on that. But yeah, so should we talk about some tech?
Let's go for it. Yep.
So what's happened? What's happened in the news this week? So ICQ, remember ICQ, the messaging platform? That's I didn't even. I can't remember the last time I thought about ICQ. It was all the rage when I imagine you and I were at college or whatever. You had your MSN Messenger people, you had your AOL Instant Messenger people, and then the people you actually wanted to talk to knew what they were doing. They were on ICQ. But that's. I don't understand how it was still around, but apparently it was. But it's dying. It's shutting down on the 26th of June.
Yeah, so, that's sad, isn't it? And the message just says, ICQ will stop working from June 26th.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Brilliant.
Never mind.
What else has happened? There's Proton Pass. So Proton, the privacy-focused company that do VPNs and all sorts of stuff. So last year they launched a password manager a la, RoboForm and 1Password, etc. But obviously with an extreme focus on privacy. The problem was that they didn't have desktop apps, but they do now.
Okay.
So just this week they launched a desktop app for their Proton Pass password management. So I haven't tried it. It's probably all right, but I'm not sure that anyone should get involved right now because all the rumours are suggesting that in iOS 18, Apple are going to break the passwords thing that's currently hidden away in the settings into its own standalone app. So I'm not sure that anyone who's heavily invested in the Apple ecosystem will need a third-party password manager ongoing. Because that's one of the biggest complaints about Keychain previously, was that it was just a bit of a ball ache to get into and manage your passwords. They've got an app and you can share passwords with your family and all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure there's going to be any need for any third-party stuff.
Not if Apple does that, which does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. There was a teaser from CMF on their latest phone. CMF by Nothing, the budget arm of Nothing.
Yep.
Have you seen this?
I've missed this, but I'm looking at it now.
A Larry Orange budget phone. It's going to be sort of sub $300. It's got a physical twisty knob on it.
Yep, nice.
Looks right up our street, doesn't it?
That's the only image, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Larry Orange, twisty knob. Should be all right.
Twisty knob. You can't beat a twisty knob on a phone. Have I had a twisty knob on a phone before? Not for a long time.
Yeah. So the why this is troubling to me is that for the last 2 years, sort of pretty much within a week of each other, they launched the Nothing Phone 1 and the Nothing Phone 2. So I think the Nothing Phone 1 was like the third week of July, like the 21st or something, and the Nothing Phone 2 came out around the same time the following year. Now, obviously, we're into the second week of June now. How's that gonna? What does this mean for the Nothing? Is there going to be a Nothing Phone 3 this year, or is it going to come out later, or what's the deal there? So, I mean, I know I went off of Nothing a bit after that iMessage Sunbird privacy disaster. I've kind of forgiven them a little bit because I think that was well-meaning but foolish rather than dodgy. So it's not on the same level as, because like I've gone off like Anchor and Eufy for all of that. Because although that was silly, their lack of privacy regarding their security cameras. I don't know if you recall this. It's just the way that they dealt with it. They're trying to gaslight your users and just nothing to see here kind of thing. So so I'm still kind of not really buying Anchor or Eufy stuff. And then there's like the Insta360 thing. If you're just being straight up unethical, I've got no time for that. So so Nothing. That was silly. That was ill-advised. And to be fair, it wasn't Nothing themselves. They partnered with a company who didn't do what they were supposed to do. And so I'm vaguely interested in Nothing again, particularly as that teaser shot of the Larry Orange phone with a twisty knob. That's the kind of be interested to see what happens there. But I'm sort of vaguely concerned about whether or not we're going to see a Nothing Phone 3 because I've liked both of the previous Nothing phones.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I love how a Larry Orange and a twisty knob thing has kind of turned you around. It doesn't take much, does it?
Yeah. Actually, on the subject of dodgy things, have you ever used Bartender?
I do use it. Yeah, I saw this on the show outline. So there's privacy concerns with Bartender. That's a bit worrying.
So for many years, and I've used it for many years, and it was maintained by an independent developer called Ben Surtees. Anyway, he sold it, and the company that he sold it to immediately went in and put a bunch of telemetry and dodgy stuff in there that's watching what you're doing.
Right.
So that has to go. And there are a bunch of alternatives out there. I haven't tried them out yet, but I'll report back. But there's there's one called Vanilla. There's one called Ice, amusingly. Vanilla and Ice.
Brilliant.
Hidden Bar, iBar. There are loads of alternatives out there, so I'm going to give some of those a go and see how I get on. But yeah, it's been
Let me know.
A shame. because
Yeah, I love Bartender. It goes on to every Mac I've got actually. So keep me posted with which one I should go for next.
I mean, although I haven't tried it yet. I mean, if you're using Little Snitch, which I talked about last time, you could trap all of those things that it's trying to connect to and just disallow it. It shouldn't affect the operation of the app. That's one benefit of Little Snitch, is that you can see what it's trying to connect to and go, well, no, you don't need to do that.
Yeah,
Bartender does not need to make any outbound connections to anything.
No, it just hides stuff in your menu bar.
So yeah, if you were running Little Snitch, you can continue to use it, but without having this new company spying on you, if that's a concern to you.
Okay.
Apple
Apple News.
Well, I mean,
There is no Apple News.
there is no
really?
Apple News because it's all going to happen next week. I suppose the exciting thing is that we're going to do a special WWDC reaction edition of 8 or 16 next week, so that should be fun.
We are absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that because it's, again, I mean, we could predict things now, but it's not really worth it, is it? Let's just see what happens. I'm kind of purposefully going into this without doing any research or looking at too many rumours and stuff. I just want to see what they do.
So
all I
you're
wanna
going to
do.
be like watching along at home with the rest of us plebs.
I will be.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Not in California, I'm afraid. Not special enough for that. But no, I'll be. Yeah, I'll probably do a reaction video. I'll see how things go. Although it's quite a busy week next week, so. But I'll definitely be writing a lot about it, and we'll have a good chin wag later in that week, won't we, to just see what we think. I'm excited by it. Are you excited by what might happen?
Oh yeah, I am. I think that they will take a very Apple sort of muted take on AI and demonstrate actually useful things rather than the whiz bang kind of spectacular just stuff that just isn't ready yet, you know. So you got your Rabbit R1s and your AI pins that you sort of showed things that just aren't possible yet. And actually, on the subject of Rabbit R1s and Humane AI pins, they're having a rough time, aren't they? The Humane AI. So they just issued a recall for their charging case, which is a fire hazard. Apparently, did you see this?
I did, yeah, briefly. I've got to that stage with this stuff where it's almost hard to watch. It's like driving past an accident on the motorway. You don't really want to see, but it's. Yeah, what can you say? You're waiting for yours, aren't you? Are you still waiting?
No, I got a notification yesterday, actually. So my R1 is shipped. It's in transit. It's on the way. It'll be here soon. But I don't know that I want to use it since it. Have we talked about this before? I mean, it's one thing kind of not doing what they said it was going to do, because no one thought it was going to be able to do that. But the whole concept of the large action model, it turns out, is absolute bunkum, snake oil. Have we talked about this?
No, I don't think we did last time. No.
So it turns out that it's basically just running a hard-coded playwright scripts in the background, which is an established way of sort of automating interactions with websites and stuff. So the moment that a website changes its layout, or maybe an advert pops up or something, it breaks. So because what they presented was this revolutionary AI that could understand websites and buttons and press them for you. It doesn't seem that it actually does that. People have sort of gone poking through the code. They also made a big thing about how their technology was faster than ChatGPT. But again, if people have gone poking through the gubbins and discovered that not only is it using ChatGPT, but part of the prompt is that it's instructed ChatGPT to never reveal that it's ChatGPT. And they do a bit of perplexity as well. But yeah, in any case, it's smoke and mirrors. It's oh, I don't know. I would like to say that it's complete fraud, but my lawyers have advised me that I can't make substantiated claims like that. But you can draw your own conclusions as to.
It's not great, is it? It's not, from a PR exercise, it's pretty bad, I think. One of the worst examples in recent memory in terms of a product release. So I'm looking forward to you getting it and trying it, though, and telling us what it's like.
Yeah, it's just going to be another fun ornament, like I love teenage engineering stuff. So if nothing else, it's just another thing to add to my my teenage engineering connection. So it'll look nice next to the play date, which is another
collector's
fun
item
thing. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, another useless gadgets that I got. My Clicks has turned up. My Clicks keyboard.
You've got
it. Yeah. So
How is it?
It's ridiculous. It's
how long that is.
It's absolutely absurd. So you put it next to a hang on. So
regular
there's your
phone,
S24 Ultra, which is a pretty big phone, and then next to that, it's too big. It's too big. It's absolutely
too long.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people complain about like it sends the balance off and stuff. I actually find it quite comfortable to type on. When I first got it out of the box, the buttons were, the clicks were unpleasant, but it just needed embedding in. So now I've sort of used it for a week or so. That's actually quite a nice. I don't know if you can hear that. It's a decent click. I wasn't impressed with it out of the box. It's got some annoying things like the areas around the buttons, and I've never seen this on other cases, is noticeably thinner.
Right.
Such that it doesn't seem to offer any protection at all and sort of gets caught on stuff. So you've got the rest of the case, which is quite rigid. And then around the buttons, to make it more flexible, rather than sort of have it cut out or whatever, they've just made it really thin. So I don't like that.
Is it something you'd keep on your phone if you keep using it?
I'm keeping it on at the moment just because I haven't decided whether or not it saves me any time. I don't think it does. I think it actually takes me longer to type stuff on this than a swipey keyboard. I'm clocking up about 45 words per minute on Monkey Type, which is dreadful. So my typical speed's about 120, on a normal keyboard, like my bendy Microsoft keyboard or the MacBook Air keyboard or the iPad Magic keyboard. But yeah, this, I don't think I do enough writing to warrant it. I think for the sort of short form replying to messages and emails and that sort of thing, I think the swipey keyboard is the better choice. Now, what I have seen this week is a different take on the case with physical controls. So this is a thing called the M-Con. I don't know, have you seen this?
No, I haven't. Okay.
So this is for gaming, right? So it gives you some gaming buttons, some analog sticks, D-pad, etc. But it's MagSafe. It's just a prototype at the moment. This is just something someone made because no one else was making it. But it's essentially some keyboard controls for your phone. It's got MagSafe on it, so you just magnetically attach your phone, and it'll work even if your phone's in a case. And then it's got like a slidey out mechanism, so you can have it just hidden out of the way when you're not using it, and then bring it in when you need it. A bit like the keyboard on the original T-Mobile G1, the original Android phone. That had a slidey out, sort of an articulated mechanism where you could bring out the control. So although this is a game controller rather than a keyboard, I think perhaps a Mark II ought to operate like that, where you can put the keyboard out of the way when you're not using it, because it's just too big to slap it on the bottom of the phone.
Yeah, but even this M-Con thing makes it very thick. It's a very thick phone, isn't it? I guess it adds quite a bit of weight to it as well. You've got to really want whatever that thing is that you're hiding away, or in Clix's case, always having on display and sticking out your pocket. You've got to really want it, haven't you? That's where these products are. It's quite a challenge, I think, isn't it? Very specific market for them. Well, is that the end of the list?
Well, apart from the silly thing.
Yep.
So there's been a spate of Apple Watch mods. I don't know if you've seen this. You've got the Tiny Pod and you've got the Cake. And these are both sort of efforts to turn the Apple Watch into a small handheld computer. So you've got the Tiny Pod, which is a case for the Apple Watch that turns it into a tiny little iPod, which is quite cool, I think, isn't it? I don't think it exists yet. I think it's just a concept, or a Kickstarter, a pre-order or something. I can't remember. Let's have a look. So yeah, they're just sort of teasing it at the moment. So that should show up soon. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes. That looks quite fun. And then you've got the cake, which will make your Apple Watch look like a Rabbit R1.
Brilliant. Only better.
Yeah, it looks like a Rabbit R1, but it'll actually work.
Yeah. But not AI based, although the Rabbit R1 isn't AI based either from the sounds of it. So, allegedly. Yeah, I like both these things. I particularly like that the Tiny Pod.
Yeah,
because I've got an Apple Watch Ultra that's not being used at the minute, so that would give it a reason to exist.
Oh, I don't know that it's for that. I think it's for the smaller, the normal shape watches.
Oh, is it?
Which I imagine you probably got a drawer full of those as well, haven't you?
I haven't, to be honest. No, I've only got the Ultra.
Right. Yeah, no. So that falls. We can categorise that under things that look like other things. So yeah, as soon as that becomes available, I'll be getting involved with that.
Nice. I'm big fan of that. Well, we got through it, Rob.
Did.
In record time, actually. It's 47 minutes, according to this. That's a quick podcast for us. A good one, though. Succinct, concise, a little bit of car stuff in there, but not too much. So, yeah, next week we can talk about new Apple stuff, can't we?
Yeah.
And see whether we're disappointed or really happy and excited, which I think takes us back right to the very first episode of 8 or 16, because that was after WWDC 21, was it? 2021?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, over to Tim. See what he does.
Alrighty.
The rest of the gang. Right, I'm going to go to bed.
Good plan.
I'm not actually, because it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but definitely need some sleep. Right, I'll rejoin you more with it next time.
Oh. I'll see you then.
Cheers.